Hello and good evening. It's 7 minutes after 7, and the show is Geek Squad. Well, you probably already know that from the soundtrack you just heard. And today is the 30th of March. Today we'll be having a conversation. We've been having an evolution series. We've been talking about evolution of tech. We've talked about evolution of data storage, talked about the evolution of music players, and today we'll be talking about the evolution of the telephone. And yeah, I want to know while we're having the conversation what the first smartphone you used. Actually, did I say smartphone? The first phone. First mobile phone specifically. Because if I say the first phone, somebody will talk about their rotary, phone, the krr, ching, krr. No. The first cell phone. The Nokias, the Motorola's, the Sagems, the Siemens, the Ericsson, the Sony, before they became Sony Ericsson. If you got Sony Ericsson, you're new school. But if you had Sony or Ericsson, you're old school. You can send us a WhatsApp message on 055 11 11 997, 055 11 11 997, or 055 quadruple 1 997. Yeah, it's the same number. I just keep saying it three different ways. Yes, and before we jump to the conversation, I have a lady here with me who I've been friends with for a very long time, but we've never met because we're always friends. Hi, Lily.
Hi, how are you,
I'm
Covenant?
very good.
Right.
And you're here to tell us about Africa's largest hackathon from the Hack Lab.
Right.
Yes.
It's exciting to know. So I love this favorite quote from Stewart Brand. That's his name. And he says that when technology rolls over you, if you're not part of the streamroller, you're part of the road. So what we've done since the inception of the Hack Lab Foundation in 2015 is to try to, through our activities, the hackathon, the hubs we have on campuses, matching people or talent to the job market, is to actually bridge the gap between the studies we have in school and resources. So basically hinging on education and how to make technology thrive also. So this year we are taking it virtual. Everything has been happening. We all see what the pandemic has brought to us. So what we thought was impossible, now everybody has to adapt to it. And interestingly, we look at a topic that when people hear, there are people, one sector looks at the fear bit. Another part would be looking at some words such as reskilling, upskilling. They'll be hearing something like pivoting. So
Pivoting, yeah.
even though it's far-fetched in the minds of people, you want to bring it home. So you go into the Amazon site and you have a prompt or say clues as to what to pick next based on the search you did. There's AI lurking behind all those suggestions. So we want to bring the conversation home and ask people, how do you leverage AI to drive digital transformation in Africa? And we want to do this across board. So there's health, there's education, there's transportation, there's e-commerce. If you can think of a problem, something you've experienced, something you've heard about in any field, and you have an idea, we want to invite you from the 9th to the 11th of April to code with us. So when people hear about hackathons, they tend to think about hacking.
I was just
I
about
remember,
to ask that.
I remember last year, my dad actually, it was during Easter like this. He left church, came there with all his regalia to sit there to see what we do, just to make sure that we're not hacking. This was in Kumasi. This was in 2019, actually, not last year. Now, when you hear of the word hacking, for us, we want you to think creation. We want you to think development. We want you to think creatively. How do
Problem
you solve
solving.
exactly? How do you identify? How do you deliver realistically? Especially looking at our sub-region, our country, what will people be able to use? AI is very advanced, and this is part of emerging technologies. So you want to look at it and see, for our country, our region, you want to look at infrastructure such as the accessibility, you want to look at electricity, and want to profile solutions and have support from our sponsors.
Right.
So this year, we're very glad to have a wide range of people supporting, from media houses like you are doing, and shows like yours, to IBM, to Twitter, to Stanbic, to Vodafone.
Wow.
And it's exciting. So we want people to look beyond the prizes for this year, and you can start thinking about how your solution would actually impact. So we see how things have changed with the virus, and how people have been able to create things for the times we're in. Maybe you can also have a projection of the future and also build things that are relevant, not only in the now, but also in the future. So this year we want people to come and let's code under a very fun atmosphere. Even though it's virtual, we want to bring and make people know that technology is a natural extension of who we are.
Great. So, who's allowed to come and code, or who's allowed to join? Because me and the geeks, we've already got some ideas. I've got an idea in my head. I'm not going to say it before someone steals it, but yeah, who's entitled to come?
So I'm going to bust a bubble. Your idea is not new, actually.
Oh,
You just have a different way of executing it.
oh,
So it's interesting. We invite you all to come and be a part. But our target audience are people in universities. And I'll share briefly how to register and how to
Right.
be a part of it. So we want to target universities because we realize that most times after school, you are asked how many years of experience do you have and all. And as part of our programs, we have something called remote internship, and we have this hackathon. We have the house on campuses so that we can build or groom people adequately for the job market. So we want to target tertiary institutions, universities, training colleges. If you have a team of 3 to 5 and you can register to be a part, why not? So how to register is we have a Hack Lab Connect app. You can find it on the iOS. You can find it on Google Play. And what's going to happen is just go there as a team leader. You create your team. Then you get a code, a unique code for your team. And then you can share with your team members to also be or join your team, and then together.
Team GS.
Yes, so Team GS.
Team
yeah.
GS.
So
Look
you
at
can
them. They're not
start.
even reminding me.
Yeah, they are not excited.
Oh.
Another team from Ho is very excited, and they're coming to win this. So that is how you be a part. And if you have any challenges, we are able to support you. You can tweet at us at the Hack Club FDN on Twitter. You can anywhere
The
on
Hack
any
Lab FDN.
right,
Right.
across platforms.
Don't miss it.
Exactly. Across platforms, we're able to help you register. Our solution for people who are not able to register readily is that you give us the information, we'll verify if there's a problem from your side or ours, and we're able to let you go through.
Great.
So if you're a team of 3 to 5,
So
in the
It has
in
to
the
be 3 to
university-
5.
Yeah. No, yeah, 3 to 5.
One person, one man team.
We normally want a deal breaker. If you're 2, that's even. Nobody will be
Okay.
able to. But we really want a diverse, team. So people who are UX designers, people who are the
Okay.
programmers, people
So
who
no
have the
Swiss Army
business
knife human
mind.
being.
Who?
No Swiss Army knife person.
Well, yes. And normally, this is what happens. Beyond the projects you're building, we want you to have the ability to scale.
Right.
Because this year, we are not just giving the prizes after the hackathon. Most of the solutions are going into incubation. The Founders Institute is helping us in that regard. We are going to build your ideas because these are solutions really. We want to see them scale beyond just the competition.
Yeah.
So we want somebody, actually think about it. If you have somebody who's business minded and can support you and can bring that business perspective to your project, have them on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that seems to be a thing. After all these hack labs and hackathons and people come up with great, solutions, 2-3 years down the line, we don't hear of them again.
Exactly.
And you're like, what happened to this brilliant solution? But I like the fact that you're saying that you're going to incubate them and then grow the idea till it becomes, it scales up. That's great.
Yeah.
So 9th to 11th,
Right.
Africa's largest hackathon. If you're in the tertiary institution, you've got a team of developers. Go on, sign up. What's the URL again?
Also, Hack Lab, the Hack Lab Connect app on the
Just download the Hack Lab Connect app
Yeah.
on Google Play or iOS.
Yes.
And then register.
Exactly.
It's good if you have all, the players on the team so that, you guys have a stand a chance of winning. We'll have the winners on the show to talk
Right.
about,
That'll be
all the winners
exciting.
and the runners up. Yeah, to talk about what the solutions they came up with. And yeah, we'll be there.
Right.
So
You
check
can
it
be. You
out.
can be. You can join as a mentor. We also need volunteers, so you can be mentoring team. There'll be speed mentoring sessions. It's not just the competition. We have conferences and workshops.
As
so
it's,
people
and it's all
understand.
virtual. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there.
Exactly.
So thank you very much, Lily, for this. And
Thank
it's
you.
always great to know that there's opportunities out there for techies and people aspiring to enter the tech industry. Don't miss this opportunity. Go download the app on Google Play or the App Store, register, and take part
Right.
and win. Win. Come up with some great solution. Let us know. Thank you once again, Lily,
Thank
for
you
joining
so
us.
much for having me.
And we'll get you on again.
Right.
So
Thank
we'll have
you.
another conversation.
You
We're going straight on into the conversation. I was going to give a shout out to Derek, the drum roll, Amwa, because how was the song we played before we played our SIG tune, Kilo Day? You know what? Before I read the messages, drop that song again. Michael Winston, welcome. Although you guys have been here, but welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what's the first phone you used, Winston?
First phone I recollect using, I guess it was a Nokia 3310.
Everybody using a 3310. Evan Spencer used a 3310.
Yeah.
Michael, you?
Well, let me confirm that I got the model right because Nokia had more models in those times than Grain to Sand at the Sea. So hang on, it's the Nokia 6310.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, if I remember correctly, had color, which I didn't know. What am I doing? It's a silly question. I know exactly the first phone I had.
What was the first one?
Nokia 7110.
7110.
Yes,
Hmm.
the first ever GSM enabled phone, right? And it came out at the time. Okay, it came out earlier than that. But when I laid hands on it, my dad's old phone, hand me down, it was still fresh from the Matrix.
Dude, you took the wind out of my sails. I was just about to say you had the OG Matrix phone.
Yes, I did.
Well, it just explains why Michael walks in here always looking like disappointed Neo.
Wow.
But then again, yeah, it's good to know that. That was good. So, Rick K from USA said, Spiky, my first one was a Motorola Talk About T180. Woo. Talk About T180.
Interesting.
OG, right there. Well, my first phone was a Mitsubishi Triumph. Yeah, I know what it sounds like. When I say it, people are like, my first one was a car.
So you had to take your phone for servicing.
It was a Mitsubishi Triumph. It was a small, cute phone with an antenna. And I moved from that to a Siemens. Can't for the life of me remember the model. But yeah, it was a hand-me-down from my mom. So yeah, the Triumph, I didn't know that you had to charge the phone for like 8 hours before using it. And when I got it, I didn't have a SIM card then. And I'll always just turn it on, go through the menu and turn it off. Turn it on, go through the menu and turn
It
it
is very interesting that back in the day, we legit, for the younger listeners and viewers, yes, back in the day when you got a brand new phone, you had to charge it for 8 hours before you turned it on.
Yep.
It doesn't really happen.
And then also you were going to ruin the battery. So when
Yes.
when I actually got a SIM card and put it in the phone, the battery was ruined.
But at least you could take the battery out.
Here's the thing.
Oh,
Mitsubishi Triumph, how was I going to get a battery?
Yeah.
We didn't have a tiptoe lane then.
No, you would have to have gone to a mechanic to fix your battery issues.
Anyways, so we'd like to know what your first phone was and what your first SIM card or network that you used with it was. Mine was Buzz at the time. It cost $299,000. I will never forget. I bought it opposite Busy Internet. That was the Buzz office. Yeah, because the options were you were either going to get a 299,000 Buzz, you're going to get the Space Phone 360,000, or you were going to go and get the almighty One Touch for 1.2 million. Clearly, I wasn't cut out for that 1.2 million, and I had just done a voiceover for I was doing adverts at that time.
Wow.
And I earned some money. My mom, obviously. My mother earned the money on my behalf and asked, what do you want? I said, SIM card for the phone.
Simple.
Bought the SIM card and then I couldn't use the phone. Can you imagine? Should have bought a PlayStation or something.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Retrospect it's a difficult teacher.
I think my first SIM card is the one I'm still using. Tigo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was Buzz then. For
So-
the 3310.
No. But back then, so at the time, I think it was still Tigo because I finally got to have...
When you got a 3310, it was Tigo.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I
you-
don't remember.
Of course not.
I
Wasn't
don't.
Tigo back.
remember clearly, but like the same phone number I've been using is since JSS.
Mm.
But you people won't make a grow like you guys. I'm not that old, guys.
Yeah, but 3310 is legit old, bro.
yes.
Yeah. Then me, I know the whole. Who was going to buy me a Sony Ericsson at the time? Yeah, nobody.
Wait,
was
so
going to
when
do
you
that.
had a Nokia, there was a Sony Ericsson. There was
Like a couple of
they weren't
months.
decoupled.
Yeah, a couple of months later, yeah, Sony Ericsson was.
Okay.
A friend of
you
mine
hit.
had a Sony
You
Ericsson.
hit. You hit. Yeah, up
But
there.
I swapped. I switched from the Nokia 3310 to a Motorola Pebble, like
Ooh.
within a very short period of time.
Ooh.
Wow. Yeah.
Mr. Paul Ankravile says, mine was an OKI, built like a brick and very robust. SIM card was like a credit card size. This was 1989. Wow. You know, back then you had to put the whole card with the SIM card into the phone.
So you slot it in.
Yeah, you
like,
slot it in like a payphone.
Oh, okay.
I remember my dad's Nokia was the same thing. You put the whole card. You didn't take it out of the plastic thingy. You just slid it into the phone, put the battery on it, then press the cut/power button and wait. Then you hear the Nokia tone. Anyway, so the evolution of the telephone. You know, it's the most convoluted backstory. Everyone is claiming ownership. Elijah Gray says it was me. Alexander Graham Bell said it was me. And someone actually said today to me, it was Thomas Edison. I'm like, well, yeah, he was there too, but that doesn't mean it was him.
I mean, it's about the same thing when it comes to the light bulb, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of people were within like minutes of each other in coming out with the technology. But who is commercially given this?
Who's hailed?
Yeah,
as the one, the
commercially.
father of the telephone.
Yeah,
Clearly,
credit.
Alexander Graham Bell.
Exactly.
Now, here's the thing. Here's a story I heard. So, Alexander Graham Bell submitted his patent, 1867. And when he submitted his patent, hours later, Elisha Gray also submitted his payment. And there's rumors that he actually paid $100 to the patent guys to let him have a sneak peek at Elijah Gray's patent, which turned out to be a liquid telephone just as Graham Bell's. So a lot of people, and yeah, a lot of, what do you call that thing? Legal issues later. Graham Bell still holds the patent for the telephone. So, yeah, sorry, Mr. Gray. We really would have loved to give it to you if you could have proven that it was you, but right now, we can't say something for you.
History will never know.
History would never know how hard Elisha Graham Bell. Hey,
There you go.
Elisha Gray. See, he has Gray and Graham.
Yeah, Graham.
Yeah, Elisha Gray. But the phone, the liquid telephone, very interesting concept. A diaphragm with a needle dipped into acid, and then it records the waves. So when the diaphragm vibrates, then the needle changes, creates waves in the liquid, the acid, and that is transmitted via electricity or somewhat into sound. Who would want to have a phone filled with acid sitting in their house? In this era where, not this era, in that era, imagine your child, the phone rings and they're running to go grab the phone and they knock it over. What an accident. That would have been so many legal suits coming in for both Graham Bell and Elisha Gray.
I mean, plastic is progress. Well, in their case, wood is progress. They did eventually get rid of that and move on to finally what do they even call that contraption? The precursor to, sorry, not the precursor, the follow-up to the telegram.
To the telegraph, you mean?
Yes, that's.
Well, speaking of telegraph, so prior to all this was the telegraph machine. And the telegraph machine was used to send messages. So it was the text messaging of the 1800s. Now, I can't for the life of me imagine what it was like to have to send.
You can.
Can I?
You can, because it was not that dissimilar to how we used to type on the T9.
Well, it
really
was a few more taps.
It was a few more taps, but it really wasn't that dissimilar.
No, the telegraph was more taps than
Yes.
T9.
Yes,
Well, T9 made it easy.
it did. Because it even brought in predictive
Text.
But even
exactly.
before then, there was a lot
Then you
of
had to
tabs.
go like A, B, C,
Yeah.
D, E, F.
Yeah. It really wasn't that far away from the...
So,
we missed a great learning opportunity there, because imagine a teacher had jumped onto that, like, you know what? Sending a text is almost like sending
A telegraph.
a telegraph, Morse code. So a little bit more training, and
then we would have learned more.
Yeah, we would have learned Morse
Now,
code.
that just, brings me to the point where I'm wondering, if this pandemic had happened and the time when we were using our tap, 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 tap to send text, and then we had to do remote education, and then you had to send your assignment to your teacher via text message. One, limited 140 characters. And then
Yes.
two, boy, oh boy, that would have been
And every
difficult.
text costs you some solid bank.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you should be happy for the evolution of technology and where it has brought us,
You really
because
should.
without it, all the zooming and the Microsoft Teams were doing.
I mean, I remember back then when these telcos all started free text to the same
Network.
Like if you were sending a text message, like that was lit, and then there was free night calls and all that stuff.
Now,
But right now,
that was the era where a lot of people got phones. There was
Exactly.
this, my one touch chip, I got it during that time. It was called One Touch Biggie Promotion. That's when I bought my SIM card
remember
for
that
10,000 CDs. I can't forget. And then One Touch brought the One Touch chat. They had this text-based chat, and you had chat rooms people could join and then chat. That was the early WhatsApp. Anybody who's listening to me who's experienced that, you know what to do. Send us a WhatsApp message or go into the Twitter #Joy Geek Squad. Did you ever experience that chat group? You know, One Touch chat.
Jeez.
Yeah, it happened. You see, you guys.
Much like Winston, I've had the same number ever since I got onto mobile telco, and the network I'm on didn't do that.
Well, yeah, your network did. I've been on the same SIM since after high school, but prior to high school, I was hopping from trying everyone. The cheapest one just gets me, then I switch.
Yeah, I mean,
Or the one that had better internet.
Because you weren't afraid to just throw your number somewhere when it was convenient.
and I mean, there are not that many people with cell phones for it to matter, anyways. Where
Exactly.
like right now, if you change your number, it's a whole hassle.
Yeah,
Where you have to tell your entire contact list that you changed your number and all that stuff. But right now, but back then, it's like, I mean, more people were using the handheld phones at home than people who had cell phones.
Now, speaking of which, so moving from the liquid telephone, the actual phone that was created post that, the one that became household item, was it carried the signal through wires. Now, the technology behind that is not too far from what we used to do. I don't know about you. I know about me. Well, putting two tins and then a string in the middle. Anybody try that? You guys try that?
Yes,
I didn't have friends. No.
I did.
Well, I didn't have friends either, but we tried this in school.
I mean, I did that in line with when you're talking about things, making kunku cars and all that stuff. I did all of that. I did all of that.
So that technology, as crude as it was when we were kids, was actually what was, should I say, part of the inspiration for the telephone. Because there was a story I read where it said farmers who shared a fence, a copper, barbed wire fence, connected their phones to the barbed wires at each end. And what they would do was, so let's say all three of us were living on the same stretch, separated by, miles and miles of land, but then we shared the same barbed wire. Now, because that technology worked, if the line in between was taut, was very tight, the barbed wires were very tight, and then they would connect the phones to the barbed wire. Now, if it rang twice, we would have an agreement. Winston and I would agree. If it rings twice, Winston, it's your call. If it rings three times, it's Michael's call. So even though we're on the same line, when I call and then it rings twice, that means it's Winston's call, then he'd pick. But then, obviously, that wasn't going to work across the whole world or the whole country. And that's when they brought in the exchange. Now, did you ever experience an exchange?
I keep saying I'm not that old, guys. I
Come
keep saying
on.
that.
You don't need to be old to
He wants to keep
experience
saying
an
that he
exchange.
didn't, but like you did, low-key, didn't you?
I have
You
no
never
recollection
called
of that.
an office and then they'd ask you for an extension.
No,
That's pretty much, wow.
The same thing.
no, I did not.
I mean,
Okay.
I didn't. I knew all the numbers I needed to call off the top of my head, but I had them written down close to the phone book, so I didn't need to. But speak of phone book, remember those
Boy,
that-
the
singing
Ghana
notebooks.
Telecom
Oh no,
phone
the
book.
thick one.
the
Yeah,
thick yellow notebook, like the building block.
yeah. That book was fun to go through. So what my friends and I used to do is that you go through the entire book, and then you find people who have similar names or surnames, and then you just ring them up. But what was even more interesting about having that book was the fact that everybody's phone was postpaid.
Yeah, of course.
And they bring the bill. So if the bill was too much, they pretty much tell you every call
Number
that
you-
you placed and how long it was. Yes, younger listeners, if you didn't know this. So they bring you the bill, and the bill has every single phone number that was
Yep.
called in the
And it was
duration.
printed on this long piece of paper
Yeah.
with the perforated sides.
Yeah. So then they bring it, your parents are going through and are like, typically,
Who has been calling this number?
call this number. And
And
then
you see the duration too.
yeah. And then I normally used to use the excuse I was doing homework on the phone.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I got away with it quite
Well,
a bit.
I'll tell you what happened with me. I discovered the telephone book, and then I got bored and decided to make prank calls.
Oh my.
So I would call, and then when I hear the hello, then I'd hang up. And I was doing this until one day I called a number, and the number called me back after I hung up. And I had the scare of my life because the voice was so deep and scary. Like the man said, "Stop what you're doing." And in my mind, how did he know? Was that the government? Yeah, until I found out there was something like star 69.
There you go.
But it was too late. Anyway, so the telephone exchange.
Yeah.
Pretty much, you had to call
Operator.
operator,
Yes, too.
and then the operator would determine who you're trying to connect.
Bro, I
Well,
never used
not
that.
determine. You have to tell them.
I never used that. You
Oh, of course,
guys,
you never use that. We never use that. This is way
This is
back.
like
in
way
the-
why
back
are
when.
you guys making this seem like I'd used that
No,
exchange
because the exchange was similar to what we mentioned. Calling my mom's office.
I mean, typically right now you still get it's
Yeah,
very
you still
similar
get
to
to
when you call your telco or
But
a
now it's
customer
more
service.
electronic.
Yeah, it's more electronic.
Yeah,
more
so when you call,
internet-based.
then. But
back-
then you
back
needed actual people.
to do that.
Even when I was growing up, my mom's office, they still had a
Actually,
telephone exchange.
hold on. There's an easy way to describe this. If any of you are legally allowed to and have seen the movie John Wick,
Mm.
those women that operate
The cables,
they pull it
cables
out.
outside, that is exactly how it
Yeah.
was.
So the explanation to that was each phone group, basically, if we lived in the same town, for instance, we'd have our own telephone exchange. And when I call the operator, I would give them the code, which was essentially the same letters that you used to dial, like when you're typing. So let's say Michael is in airport. So the code would probably be AIR, and that would be what? T4, and then
Hang on.
T47.
It's
247.
Yeah, T is T.
A,
no,
A
T
is
is
A
eight.
is 2.
T is 8.
No. Airport will be AIR. So it'd be
Sorry. Yeah, right. I got it backwards.
247, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be your code.
Yep.
So that would be your area code. So all I have to say is 247, and then I'll mention the
Remaining.
what do you call it? The actual number.
How many numbers was it? 'Cause
No, in our time it was
3 for the area code. No,
it
sorry.
was about 9. So they made it 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just 022 or
021.
021.
You're in
021.
Tema, so 022.
Yeah.
But you see, in our part of the world, they didn't do the codes did not match the names of the towns. In London, for instance, in the UK, it matched the town. So then you'd use the letters. And I didn't realize that till like a few years ago when someone actually pointed that out to me, that their phone number it actually matches the town. The code, the first 3 digits was the town.
And all we got was like you just.
And we
saw-
just got 021,
yeah,
051 for Kumasi, and 022 for Tema. Well, that's changed now.
Yeah.
So that was the job of the operator. You'd mention a number, and they didn't have a lot of phones then. So you probably say, well, 53.
So you didn't need to say now. Just say the person's name.
Exactly. And
And
they
then-
knew who was calling because they could recognize voices. And then
They
you just tell
literally
the
just
person.
connect your
and they
lines.
just connect. Oh, I want to talk to my auntie or my uncle, or I want to talk to Michael. And that person, who's probably Abeku. So I'm like, Abeku, can you connect me to Michael? He's like, sure, just plugs it in. And we're used to it. But here's the thing. Do you actually know that the first exchange workers were actually male? Yeah,
Oh, not the classic female.
they were males. But guess what? They were too rude. That's what they brought. That's why they brought females. Because the females were nicer. And then, yeah. I can imagine some dude waiting for the football match and then getting so many calls. And he's like, yes, who do you want to talk to at this time?
What do you want?
What do you want? So, yeah, they swapped them out and they brought females because they were nicer and they had pleasant voices. The unfortunate thing is that they close at 8 p.m. So after 8, you can't make a call.
Whoops.
So if you're listening and you are holding a smartphone, if you're young generation, you're holding a smartphone and enjoying the freedom of being able to call your friends at any time. Back in the day, before even your parents, if you had to make a call after 8 p.m., you can't because the exchange is closed.
Even
Who's
back.
going to connect you?
Look, sending a letter was a viable form of communication back then. So
Smoke signals,
I mean, throwing a bottle in the sea was also a viable.
really viable. throwing a bottle in the sea. Where's
Well,
we
the
gonna
pirates
end?
used to do it. They put the notes in the bottle and they toss it into the sea and
Well,
let's
that'll
go.
be good. Oh, nice. I'll send this bottle. I'll be rescuing in about 5 years. That'll be a record time.
Let me read some of the messages. So, Ricky from the USA says his first network was Space Phone in 2002, and it still is MTN when he's in Ghana. He bought a SIM in Edum Kumasi for 400,000 old CDs. Even then, it was scarce.
It's very interesting. I was talking about Edum yesterday because we're talking about buying. I had a conversation with a friend about getting the old tech because we've been talking about doing retro tech stuff. And I remembered when I was in Edum, when I was schooling in Kumasi Tech, when I go through Edum, you see a lot of old stuff. Game Boy Colors, PSPs, all that stuff was just in front of the Malcolm, just littered there.
Still there?
I don't know. I haven't been to Kumasi in a while.
Well, we have to go check.
Yeah.
So, we got a message from Mark in Airport. He says, guys, are the old landline numbers still operating? Yes, they are.
Interesting thing about that, I read something recently while I was doing some research. It seems by 2025 they will be phased out.
Oh,
The old landline system.
in which country?
I think in Europe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to add. Because, when they are phasing stuff out, we're still in it.
Yeah, still in it.
Good evening, Geek Squad. My first phone I used was the Nokia 3310 without a back cover. That's a phone only from La Paz. And
So it's only slightly
walkie-talkies,
bulletproof.
toys, or comm devices. Well, it depends on what
Well,
kind of walkies.
Yeah, because we still use walkies.
Yeah.
Thanks to Michael.
Kobby Spiky Nkrumah Nokia products was not bad at all. I started with 3310. Nokia C1, Nokia SIM card was space to space and still using it. Great to remember these days, but Kobby Spiky Nkrumah my phone.
It's not. He's
What?
upgraded it now.
What? Pixel 4? It used to be the 3A.
3A.
Now he wants the 4A. Dog glass from DC. You still have this phone. That's nice. He still has his Nokia C1. Yeah. So, Kobby and Asin Fosu says, my first phone was Nokia 3310. The battery was charged every 1 week solid.
That was one of the good things about these old phones. I mean, regardless of charging 8 hours before you start using it, that's the first time. You didn't always have to charge it for 8 hours. But like they used to last.
Days, weeks.
Consider, I'll tell you something after that.
I mean, they used to last for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
Well, it wasn't doing anything besides calls and texts.
And sneak.
Until you played games
Yeah.
and listened to ringtones.
Speaking of ringtones,
Yeah, constantly, or trying to compose your own ringtone.
Oh,
We'll
God.
get to that. We'll
Yeah.
get to that. My first phone was a Nokia 3210. Had a rubber band which kept the battery in place. I bought my first MTN SIM at 75,000 CDs on promotion. Erica Dawenya. Nice.
What's 75,000 CDs now?
That'd be like what? 75 CDs.
7.5 CDs or?
Yeah, 10,000 is one CD. So that's 7 CDs, 50 pesos.
Yeah,
Wow.
bro, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Bro.
And now it's even like what, 2 CDs?
Yeah. Now it's like 2 or 1 CD, yeah.
So, back to our conversation, our history of phones. Then, after this exchange, well, they brought an electronic exchange. Michael's, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, Michael's walkie-talkie is strapped to his boots.
His shoes.
Looks like a Motorola StarTAC from, 1999 or 98.
Jeez, dude, how old are you?
Bro, I love tech, so even though I was young, very young, I was still, looking up the stuff in an Argos catalog.
Oh, jeez, don't remind me of that. Oh, the stuff where like I want this, I want that, I want this, and you close
write
it knowing
everything.
that.
I'll cut it out and put it in my dad's wallet, but I never get it. Anyways, that's a conversation for another day.
Hopeful child.
Well, after the whole, what do you call it? Yes. So the
Electric
exchange workers were actually also they researched into changing them, replacing them because people used to eavesdrop on people's conversations. I mean,
that's
It's
where phone bugging started.
that's where phone bugging started indeed. So they changed to electronic switches that would then connect you to your
Automatic- electronic
desired
and automatically.
destination. And then came our rotary dialing phones where, you turned, I don't know, the generation now, if you're listening to us and you've never seen a rotary phone, please send us a WhatsApp.
Funny thing, I saw one in my granddad's house growing up, but
You never used it?
Never.
Oh,
In
I-
fact, I
Was
didn't-
it in a wooden box?
No, he didn't put it in the because it wasn't in use.
Ah.
It wasn't in use. So but I never figured out how it worked.
Oh.
It wasn't until years later, growing up and then having the intent showed me that this is how you used it. But
Oh, I
the rest
used it. I used it in my dad's house. Used it in my mom's office. Yeah, And the most annoying thing about the rotary phone was when you were dialing a long number and you made a mistake, and that number was probably like 9 or 0.
Hang up, start all over
Yeah, you
again.
have to hang up and start all over again because you go like 0 and you wait 1. So how it worked was that anytime you turned it to the notch and it was going back, it counted the clicks. So the clicks were the numbers that were dialing. Now that same technology was what they moved to the digital ones, quote unquote. I say digital because those, they just had buttons, but it was still analog technology. Now that's when parents started locking phones in those boxes. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate.
Oh, I actually can. Because I know some of my friends, their parents locked the phone. It was only the receiver.
That was
And
there,
then
so
the
you could only receive calls.
Yeah, and the parents had another phone in their room that was free to use. But the room, back in the day, you couldn't just walk into your parents' room. Like that. I don't know if it's changed now.
What?
It
Definitely
depends on the
has.
household.
It definitely has.
But you know, even some phones came with a lock built in
Well, yeah.
to keep you from doing that.
Now, did you guys ever hack the locked phones? So my friend Eric Upper, if he's listening, thank you for teaching me that trick. He would either use a knife, you know, like the knife, the cutlery, to slide in and dial the numbers. And then he figured out that you could actually use the button used to end the call. When you press it for a certain number of times, it would actually register the number. So if you press it once, it's 1. Press it twice, it's twice. Press it 3 times, and you press it 10 times for a 0. So he figured that out, and then they used to make calls. So the phone would be locked, all right, but they tapped that, and that was Morse code right there. Yeah, get the number and then dial, make that call. I'm sure a lot of people.
I mean, after that, when the bill comes, you can be quiet.
Well, yes, you've locked the phone. As in me, you know, of course not. It's
Wow,
not me.
that is very
We didn't do
interesting.
that.
But I just realized, as kids, we were bored enough.
Yes, we were
To
bored
go
enough.
out-
There was not enough television stations.
Nope.
Yes.
So-
And some of them came only after 3 p.m.
Yeah, you had
Assuming
to
you
watch.
are allowed to watch the TV as freely as you say.
Assuming.
That was another issue as well.
Yeah, so we had to explore a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah,
You had
yeah.
to figure out
Explore.
something to do.
And sometimes you weren't allowed to go outside, so you had to explore
Wait,
in
you
the
say
house.
sometimes? In my case, I wasn't allowed to go outside at all.
I mean,
Anyways.
I remember diving into gutters to escape what do you call it, cars on the move. So it's fine. It's fine. We've all been through it.
So my first phone I bought with my own money was a fake itel. Wow, I was made to believe it supported WhatsApp. No, it was just an icon. And if I try to use other browsers, all I get is the JavaScript logo. That's from Nana Kwesi. Oh, Charlie Nana Kwesi, I can feel your pain. Did any of you keep a phone book just in case you changed phone? The first phone I bought was a blue screen Sony Ericsson T900. Whoa. But a flip Motorola phone was the first I used for some days. We have come far. That's from Mark Cosby. Indeed, we have come far. Now, everybody's talking about phones. Now, you remember... Okay, I don't think you guys... Even I don't remember that. Let me backtrack.
Are you
even
trying
some
to show
more.
your age?
Please.
Okay.
I wasn't born in the 1900s.
Okay.
But the first mobile phone wasn't actually a cell phone. Now, when I say a cellular phone, people don't understand where the history of that name came from. The cell phone was because they connected to cell towers, and you know the network was broadcasting in cells. But the first mobile phone was actually a landline that was mobile, and you
So on a
couldn't.
horse.
No,
Oh, wasn't it that one that was like literally a landline on a bag?
it was actually even larger than that. It was in a car.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a first car phone.
Oh, so a
So
horse
it's-
is close.
Yeah, for horses clothes. If you tried to carry that in a backpack, I don't think carrying my Acer Predator 21 would have even sufficed.
I would like to ask you what's in your backpack, to be honest.
It's an Alienware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, just pushing me off my tangent.
Sorry.
Thank you very
Because
much.
your bag was very heavy. I was wondering what was in
See,
it.
he's done it. He's finally done it, and I've behaved all this time. Anyway,
Yes,
so
thank you
back
very
to
much.
the phone
phone
that
with the
couldn't
car,
fit
no.
into
Phone,
a
yes, the
wheelbarrow.
first car phone. So the first car phone was actually still connecting to analog networks, and you would use it while in the car because clearly you needed all that extra accessories packed in the boot. It was for businessmen, you know, like very important people who had to keep up with stuff.
I'm just wondering how that worked. So, what's the cooling system for the phone?
No, it didn't
And-
require cooling. It didn't require cooling because everything was built in and put in the boot, and then you just
So
had
wait, there were specific cars
I think we should share that video. I found a video
Exactly, because
on YouTube that sort of explained how it worked.
Yeah,
so
because
I'll share it.
initially when you mentioned it, what I was thinking was that there's a separate phone that is really big.
Mhm.
Okay, let's merge it to a car so that you have mobility. But right now it's sounding more like they built the car around the phone.
No, the phone was just put in the car.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just something that was put in the boot, and then the phone parts. You know how you had phone in the 90s? You had car phones. and you had
Yeah.
this. Yes. So this sort of like was reminiscent of that, but in a larger package.
Okay.
Because you still needed to be able, and they used radio waves to transmit the signals back to the analog, location.
Okay.
I was just thinking in my head, all I'm figuring is just a subwoofer with less interesting connections in it.
Now, even prior to that, the telephone technology was very interesting. The first ones that we mentioned, the ones that were using the copper wires to transmit, they actually required, and I remember this from him asking where they got their power, where they got cooling from, and they needed a generator. So they had a generator inbuilt that they had to crank, right?
Like the
Oh,
whole
which
car.
Like the old cars.
Which is why those cartoons always had them
Yes.
doing that grind.
Where you had to
yeah,
crank.
Tom
Exactly.
and Jerry. Wow, we learned a lot from cartoons. as
But
well.
we didn't even understand them then.
Yeah.
So when you crank, it generated enough power
Okay.
for the phone
So
to,
like a dynamo.
to work. Now, guess what people were using that for? Fishing.
For a second, I was going to say blending food, but yeah, never mind.
So that power that was being generated was enough to stun fish. So it's like they were tasing the fish. So they they take out the generator, and then drop it into like a river, and they'd crank it. And when the power was generated, it would stun the fish in the river, and they would just come float to the top, and they just gather them. And it wouldn't kill them; it would just stun them. So after a while, they would
Come
recover.
back
It's
and then-
even
and then
technology
they're-
that people use now for research. When researchers are trying to, follow or track fish, they stun them,
Yeah.
then put whatever trackers on them, and they put them back when they recover, and then they go. Now these guys were actually using the telephone to fish.
But putting electrically charged devices into water actually throws me back to Achimoto school.
What are you doing?
And
at
I don't want, I
Motor
don't, I
School?
don't.
Thank you
it's
very
a
much.
different time. It's a different conversation for another time.
And this thing actually went on for a while. This telephone fishing. So, there was a name they called that, and it went on for a while until it was made illegal because people were catching a lot of fish with it. So they had to make it illegal.
Yeah.
And then the power lines. Electricity came before the telephone. So the power lines then started to carry the phone signals. So then you connect the phones to the power lines. Now
And
they
it
didn't
was-
need a generator anymore.
Okay.
Now, speaking of the power lines, again, the rotary phones that we were talking about actually stayed in your house when you got it because they were so expensive you couldn't buy them. So you had to rent them from the power company.
Oh,
I don't know,
wow.
in Ghana, I think you'd rent them from Ghana Telecom at the
Yeah.
time. And then, so it came with your phone number, and that's why it was a physical phone. You
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
move it. If you're moving from one place to the other, I can't
You-
take that
you're
phone or the number.
renting
I
a
mean,
new
for the
number and
longest
new
time,
everything.
it always came off as even the landlines. It was always a rental.
Yeah.
It was always a rental that you got from Ghana
I mean,
Telecom.
think
back
about it.
in
Are you
the
going to move the whole phone and the line
day.
and the
Yeah,
number?
Exactly.
You can't. So you'd rent it. And do you know something? You remember you said your granddad had one. The plastic that was used to make that phone was not recyclable.
What?
Yeah, you can't melt it. You know how the plastic we
Yeah.
have now, you can
No,
actually
because
melt.
I remember him.
It was very hard.
hard and heavy.
Exactly. It was like fiberglass. So you can't melt it.
Oh,
And
jeez.
yeah, I forget the name of what they call that plastic, but that's something to.
So that
to
means
know.
that all the ones that exist in the world are there. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, so before we continue with the conversation, I'd like to tell you about Pepsodent. If you're setting up a routine of brushing properly with a fluoride toothpaste, day and night works wonders in boosting your oral health. For this great routine, stick, brushing every day with your family does the trick. So, that is why your favorite oral care brand, Pepsodent, has launched the Brush With Me campaign to remind parents of their joyful responsibility in taking care of the oral health of their families by brushing better together. Take action today because good oral health hygiene starts with you. Visit the dentist regularly, brush properly day and night, and invite your family to brush with you. That's right, brushing is better together, and twice a day is the way to go. So invite your family to brush with you. We brought you the incredible love story of Fearless Heart. Now we are introducing a Philippine drama series dubbed The Blood Sisters. Not us, Geek Squad, Joy Prime.
No.
A story about triplets Erica, Carrie, and Agatha, separated as infants, who reunite under the most complicated circumstances and are embroiled in strife and conflicts with one another. Catch the Blood Sisters every Tuesday to Friday at 8 p.m. And on Friday, join us in a spontaneous conversation on the chat room show as we recap on the events of these three marvelous sisters. The Blood Sisters premieres 30th March, which is today, at 8 p.m. and the chat room shows Friday, 2nd April 2021 at 9 p.m. on Joy Prime. So don't miss it. As soon as we're done with this show, go and watch it. Don't stop to go and start watching. Listen to us first.
That's on brand.
Let's listen. Let's read some. See, listen. Talk on the phone, son. Are you listening? Copy the old landline area code, for instance, 02130 da 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 da. That's for that's mine, 02150. Yo, that's true. What's your name, Siam? For that, I remember.
As soon as you heard the first two
the
numbers,
first
then
two digits, you knew
area
where it was coming from. Yeah, 50 is definitely Adent. I know 501451. That was one of the Graph's phone number. I used to keep numbers in my head. I still do.
Yeah, you had to do that, or you got a singing notebook you carried along with you.
You divide one side.
Yeah, you
My
write.
grand aunt still has one of those. She has all of us our numbers.
77 Cantonments, 61 Achimota,
Yeah.
23.
2-2 was Osu and Ringway.
So it was 2-3.
Yeah.
2-3 was. Okay, I don't remember that number because that was my access to the internet. I don't remember what area that was meant to be. Oh. So where do we go from here?
Well, mobile
Was-
phones.
No.
Yeah, that's
Cellular phones this time.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
The first cellular phone, Motorola Dynatac. That big one.
You know, it's very interesting for me how far Motorola has been in the industry and how far, like, to see Motorola the way it is now is very sad. for
Very
me.
sad.
It's really, it just shows how certain
But
business,
you say Motorola, they're still alive.
they are still alive, but
Yes.
they've passed so many hands. I don't want to use what is in my mind to
Dude.
describe how much they've been passed around, but yeah, you get
I
it.
mean,
But at
Motorola
least-
is even better. We're
At least they are
talking
still here.
companies
There's a big
like
name. Whenever
Siemens, Sagem. Where are they now?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, the whole Ericsson. Gone.
gone.
I mean, I can't say Nokia because they're back.
They're back.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, as
Well-
a shadow of their former selves.
Yeah, but
Well.
they're still there.
Yeah.
I am 70 years old. My grandmother had a phone that had the dynamo. Wow, when the STD came to Ghana, the PNT guys came to her place to replace the old one with the dial type. She held the new phone, found it very light in weight. She told the technicians the dial phone is inferior quality, so she's going to keep the dynamo phone. So she ordered them to leave her house. Edwin, that is great.
That's
wow.
such a great
Someone
story.
actually experienced a dynamo phone.
That's actually a dope story.
And he's 70 and he sent a text. See how far we've come. He sent a WhatsApp.
Yes.
We've come far.
Yeah.
Now from Spintex says the first phone Abeku. First phone I played around with was my uncle's Nokia 3310 way back. It was the ultimate phone those times and his was fresh, 1 week old. He was asleep in the bedroom and had left the phone in the hall. I quietly picked the phone, crept to a corner and clicked on the menu, went to settings or something, but I don't remember how to get back to the home screen. I panicked and quickly threw the phone under a cushion thinking I'd messed up the phone, and they come and beat me when they realized it. That's not from Spintex. Everyone had a story when the first phone started coming.
Yeah, they couldn't really figure
And they
it out,
couldn't-
and
yeah.
they thought they'd locked the phone.
Me too saw one at my grandpa's house. Phone was so difficult to operate. It felt like it was a safe and no cordless phones. We thought we were able to take it outside. Yeah, he's talking about the rotary phones and that's very interesting. I'll tell you a story someone told me earlier this morning. So he got a first phone, his Motorola. He didn't even have a SIM card and he used to take, he'd be taking it around. And he went to buy some fancy dokno and pepper. And, after unwrapping the fancy dokno and everything, on the table, finished eating it. And then a garbage collector comes to pass. He gathers the fancy dokno wraps. Little did he know that his phone had become recyclable fancy dokno.
Oh, wow.
And he disposed of it. He just... I mean, that's a painful story to hear, but unfortunately, that's how he lost his phone. He didn't have a SIM card to call it either.
Nope, gone forever.
Wow. So another message. Well, I really wanted us to open the phone lines, but we ran out of time. And please ask Nkrumah if you will recommend the Nokia 1.4. I'll have to review it before I can recommend it. So if I do
I think I've used that.
Nokia 1.4.
I think so. I think I bought it for my mom recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your review.
If it is the one I think it is.
Okay, then let's not continue.
Yes, let's not continue.
Cool. Okay. So we got to the mobile phones, the cellular phones, and unfortunately we ran out of time. I think we'll have to do a part 2 of this because this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But at least we hope that we have been able to steer you through the journey of time through telephones from the old liquid acid telephone through the dynamo phone all the way through the rotary phone to the Motorola Dynatac, the big one. Anyone use that phone? Please leave us a message or send us a tweet with the hashtag #JoyGeekSquad. It was that big one that had like the zig and the zag. The one we had a toy when you press it, say, operator, may I help you?
My dad had one.
See? And guess what? Let me tell you something. That phone, you had to charge for 10 hours and the battery lasted only 30 minutes. My name is Kobby Spiky Nkrumah. Thank you for listening to Geek Squad. Today we've been talking about the evolution of the telephone with Michael Winston. And yeah, it's going to be available on podcast. And you can find the stream on YouTube and Facebook. We'll leave you with our birthday boy drum roll song, Kilo Day. Catch you next week on the next one.
Geek Squad.
I'm a